Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our CentreCharge 5 Managing Your Occupancy webinar. Today we're going to cover how to set your system up correctly so that your square foot, your workstations are correct, how to amend any client orders that are wrong, and which occupancy reports to run so that you can report correctly and accurately on your occupancy. To get started, on the right-hand side, you'll see you've got a little panel. From here, you can ask any questions by simply raising your hand or typing in a question. Just so I know that everybody's understood that, could I ask you all to raise your hands for me, please? Fantastic. Brilliant, everybody. Can you put your hands down for me? Brilliant, okay. And then you've also got a box if you to type in if you do have any questions. But can you just so I know that you can all see that? Can you all type in how are you or hello, just so I know you can see that box as well? Can you all see the questions box? If you can just type something in there for me, just so I can see that you've. Yep, okay. I've got a question from Martin. Martin, no, you don't have to be on this one because you are upgrading to the latest version. So this is the CentreCharge 5 one. We're having another one we're having another sort of CentreCharge 2012 webinar on occupancy in the new year, which you'll probably find more beneficial for you. Can everyone else just type something in for me? Ah, brilliant. Okay, fantastic, brilliant. I can see that everyone's got us. That's fine. Okay, brilliant. So if you do have a question, you can type it in that box, or if you prefer, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you and you can type in and you can speak to me and ask me a question. The webinar will take approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour to complete. And so really we'll get going. It might be worthwhile for you to think, obviously this is the old CentreCharge 5. We do have the latest version, which we'll be releasing in the new year, called CentreCharge 2012, which you may want to think about upgrading, or if you want to see the new version, because which will have better occupancy reporting for you. It's easier to manage, and the reports and everything is just a lot easier for you to manage your occupancy, and just all-round general system is better than more improved, got new features in the new version rather than CentreCharge 5. Just something for you to think about. Okay, so the first, to make sure that our occupancy is going to be correct and efficient, what you need to do, the main point, is getting the data correct. Okay, to do this, what we need to do is we need to ensure that our net lettable square feet, our workstations, are correct. Okay, so to do this, what we need to do is we need to go to configuration and suites and rooms, so that we can see a list of all our suites and rooms for the site that we are at. So you can see here that the site that I can actually see in this system is called St. Eleanor's. We've got a list of our current clients, if the rooms are occupied, the suite names, the floor that they're on, the size, so the square foot, the number of workstations, the number of actual workstations, so the number of actual workstations within the room, the suite type, the status, support, quality of space, and address ID. The fields which we are most concerned about now are the size of the workstations and the suite types. So if you load up your system, when you actually go back into it and you can see that you don't have any square foot in any of the units, or that you think that they're actually incorrect, what you can do to simply amend that, you can double click into it to edit the suite. Click on the suite tab on the far right hand side, and this is where you'll find your office size, your workstation, and your suite type. And the suite type is a good way of, if you have different sort of suite types, you've got like a basic or a workshop or like a premier storage, anything like that, what you can do is you can report, if you fill in these suite types, you can actually report in them. So you can break the reports down to see what your occupancy is for each type of suite. So that's something for you to do. So if you want to do that and you do have different types of suites, then you can fill these out. Okay. So once you're happy, once you've made your amendments either on the office size, the workstations, or the suite type, just click on OK. And if you notice that for some reason the suite's not on there, or you've got a meeting room turned into a suite or something like that, you can click on New Suite. You can type in the description, so it'll be, I don't know, Office 600. The group, so this is going to be the product group. So as it's a room, this one's going to be license fee. The item price, so the actual list price of the room. This is filling in the item price is important because especially with regards to occupancy reporting, this will show you your list price against the price that you've actually sold the room for. So if you've sold the room for a lower price than the actual list price or higher, then you can report on this as well. You can also set a minimum price within the unit, so you can't sell the room for less than, say, 50%. Frequency will be monthly if it's a monthly recurring. You need to make sure that it's also ticked as a suite, otherwise this item won't appear within any of the occupancy reports, so make sure that it's ticked as a suite. And then if you go to the far right-hand suite tab, type in the office size, so the workstations. The workstations 10 I'm going to say on this one, and then the suite type I'm just going to put down as internal office. Also making sure that you do have a revenue account code, so that's generally going to be the same for every other office that you've got in the system, so I'm just going to put in our standard one. You need to make sure that the room is located at the correct site, so it's made available at the correct site and then located at the correct site. Then that's your suite all set up, ready to go, and then have it so you can now got a vacant Office 600 for you to be able to check the client into. Click on OK. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to Reports, Occupancy Reports, to run the Occupancy Forecast report. And obviously I've only got one site, so I'm going to leave that and just click on Preview. And once you've made sure that all of your units have got the correct workstations, the correct square footage, the correct suite types, and you've got every unit within your building actually within suites and rooms, if you run this report and scroll down to the last page, you will have, you can see we've got our Office 600, which is now shown as vacant along here. Now, the thing you need to check to make sure that everything is correct within your system is down here you can see the total available square footage. Now this is currently showing as 25,647. Now that is the total of all of our units added together, so the total square foot of all of our units added together. So this, for your occupancy to be correct, you need to make sure that that amount, that total available square footage is correct. Otherwise your occupancy will not be correct and up to date. Does everybody understand that so far? If you've got any questions, then please raise your hand. Okay, and if you understand that, can you just raise your hand so I know that you've understood it and you can hear me correct? Brilliant, okay. Stacey, can you actually, Stacey, I've just noticed that you've actually come onto the CentreCharge 5 webinar. You're actually on the latest, one of our later versions, so this webinar isn't actually relevant to you. So we are having a webinar for your version in the new year, which you may find more helpful. Okay, and if you can all put your hands back down for me. Thank you. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so the next thing, once you've got that and you're happy that your total square foot is correct and it matches the total of your suites or rooms, then what you need to do is you need to run a report called the Active Consolidated Rent and Contract Service Report. What this will do is this will show all of your orders, all of your live orders within the system. Okay. To do this, go to Reports, Rent and Contract Service Reports, Active Consolidated Rent and Contract Service Report. Okay. So we're going to run this report, so make sure that we've got the correct site. We've only got the one site, so St. Eleanor's, so that is correct. So hit Preview. And what this will do is this will show you all of your active rent orders within the system. So it will show you if they've got license, all of your orders to be appearing in the occupancy reports need to have a license agreement start and end date. The clients obviously need to be in the correct room, so they need to make sure that they're actually in the correct room, and you need to make sure that they're actually the price is correct within their order. So running this active rent detail report will actually show you from and to date, so the license agreement date, the next period they're going to be billed, the item, so the office that they're in, and the price that item is being sold at. So that is a good report to run to make sure that all of your orders are in correct. So that's the one that probably gives you a bit more detail is the Active Consolidated Rent and Contract Service Report. Again, for the same site, I'm just going to do it just going to preview it. And then you can see here that this gives you a bit more information, because this actually does give you the license agreement start and end dates. And you can see for clients. Again, I can't reiterate enough that every client that you have in the system has to have a license agreement start and end date within their order. Otherwise, they will not appear on your occupancy report. How to do if you run this report and you can see that the client does not have a license agreement start and end date, what you need to do to be able to populate that is go into the rent. So if we have a look here, let's have a look. Let's see if we can find a client without one. Okay, Office 501 for the client RTRT. Just as you can see here, they've got a start date, but they don't actually have an end date. So what you need to do is if you go into your rent orders, search for the client, open up their order, and you can see you've got an order details tab here. You've got license agreement start and expiry date. These need to be populated in order for your client to appear in the occupancy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them an end date in the future. So I'm going to give them the 30th of April. Okay. Okay. So then now once we click on OK, this client, if we go back and run that Active Consolidated Rent and Contract Service Report, just preview it, keep all the details the same. And if we use these little binoculars here to search for RTRT, you can see here that now Office 501 has an end date populated within this report. So to get your orders straight and ready for your occupancy reporting, you do need to run this report and make sure that all of your clients have a start and end date for their rent orders. This is also, populating these fields is also a good idea, because if you want to upgrade to our latest version, then part of the upgrade process is to make sure that every client has a start and end date. So even if, it is just worth going through and making sure that each and every client does have a start and end date within their order details tab on their order. If your contract is rolling and they don't necessarily have an end date, what you can do, if you go back into your rent, I'm going to just use the same example, so Office 501 again, click on the Order Details tab, and you need to click this uplift date here, which will then mark the contract as a rolling contract. But if the contract is even if the contract is rolling, you do need to have an end date in there. Is there like a next review date, so that you know that although the contract is rolling, you may want to set a review date to uplift their pricing, or have just a general chat with them. So even if they are rolling, you do need to have that end date put in there as well. Okay. If you can raise your hand just to make sure that you've understood how to get your orders up to date and how to check them, and just raise your hand for me. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you. And if you could put your hands down for me. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Okay. So once we've made sure that all of our square foot, our workstations are correct, and our client orders have all got a start and end date, the pricing's correct, and making sure that all clients are in the right rooms, then what we can do is we can go on to run a few different occupancy reports within the system. If you go to Reports, Occupancy Reports, and then Occupancy Forecast Report, click on Preview, because this is an occupancy forecast, so this is current, so you need to just click on Preview. And what this report will show is, this report will show you the next 12 months of your charges for each room that you have set up in the system. So as you can see, because we're in October and we've run the report in October, you can see now it's showing the next 12 months that you're contracted for. It will forecast the rent. Also, you can see, for example, Rochman Lando, they are obviously contracted to mid-December. So they must have an end date of mid-December, because you can see that they're contracted for October, they're contracted for November, they're contracted part of December, and then as of January, there's no contracted revenue forecasted for this report. So what this report will do is it only takes the forecast up until the license agreement end date. So this is why it's vital to have those license start and end dates put in, because this report goes and picks up the contracted occupancy from those dates. Okay, so if we scroll down to the bottom page, you can see what the end does. It summarizes everything for you, so total everything up, and then you can see that you've got your total available square foot, your total occupancy, your total license fee. So that is what you're contracted for each of those months. So that obviously can vary. These are what your list prices are. Your license fees as percentage of the occupancy list price means that this shows how you're selling against your list price. So because this example isn't brilliant, because you see our list price is quite low and we're selling 1,900,000% over our list prices, which I'm sure if you didn't manage to do that, you'd be highly congratulated by your managers. But obviously, once your list price is correct, you actually get a true figure of what your license fees are over your list price. The total available square foot, so obviously that's the total of the square foot as entered in the unit. Your total occupied square foot, so that's the total square foot based on your occupied unit. So that's the one that's there, the occupied meaning current license agreement start and end date. Total occupied square feet as a percentage of the total available is basically those two. That is a percentage of that. So at the moment we're 36.4% occupied for the month of October. The rate per square foot, so that shows you what your average rate per square foot is. So your actual rate per square foot. Your total workstations available, so again that's your total workstations as entered within the suites and rooms, and the total workstations occupied is based on the rooms that are actually occupied. And then the percentage is obviously 115 into 420, so that's 35.71% for the month of October. And the revenue per occupied workstation is showing the revenue generated for each occupied workstation for that. Okay, so what you can do, because obviously you might want to print these out, you want to email it to yourself, might have to email it to your managers or anything like that. You can export the reports or email it to yourself or print it. You are able to export it in a PDF, as an Excel document, or as a Word document. I'm going to just export it as an Excel document. You can, it doesn't matter if you remove the images and the lines from the export. Click on yes, and what that will do is that will load the Excel document in front of you, and then here you have your occupancy forecast report, and then from here you are then able to manipulate the data and then save it to your local PC if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to close that down. Does anybody actually use that report at the moment? Raise your hand if you do. If you don't, then don't raise your hand. Okay, so no one actually currently uses that report. Do you think that will help you? It'll be useful to use this report for you to manage your building occupancy more efficiently? Raise your hand if you think it will. Okay, so nobody thinks that that report is going to be useful to them. That's very upsetting. Okay, moving on. Another report for you to be able to run is the summary occupancy schedule. So if we go again to reports, occupancy reports, you've got a summary occupancy schedule report here. Just click on preview. And what this report is a snapshot of your site. So you can see if you've got access to multiple sites, then you can see that down the left-hand side. Obviously, I've only got access to the one site, St Helens, so it's just giving me a snapshot of this site. So it will show me my net lettable area, my occupancy percentage, my rate per square foot, my contracted rent amount, the average length of stay, so most clients here are staying for 32 months, number of suites and rooms, so that's how many units we've got available at the site, the rooms, suites occupied, so how many occupied rooms we've got, number of workstations, so that's the number of workstations we've got in the building, and then occupied workstations is obviously the number of occupied workstations that we've got within the building. Number of residents is the number of clients that we've got, and the number of virtuals is obviously the number of virtual clients we've got. So this is just a real snapshot, really, of the status of your building. So if you just wanted to quickly have a quick look at what your occupancy percentage was or anything like that, then this is a really good report to run just to have a snapshot of it. Okay, does anyone think that report will be useful to them? Raise your hand if you think it will be. Oh, brilliant. Someone's raised their hand. Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Can you pop your hands down for me? Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, another report to run is the occupancy rent roll. So if we go back to reports, occupancy reports, and then occupancy rent roll with workstations. So we click on that, and again, leave it the same, just preview it. Okay, and this one, as you can see, this is a snapshot of everything that is current. So as of today, this is what our occupancy looks like. What you can also see is it's broken it down by suite type. So where I said earlier of adding the suite type into the suites and rooms, this report breaks it down by suite type. So you can see the actual occupancy of your different suite types. Okay, so this report, as I said, gives you a snapshot of what is now, and you can see that at the bottom you can see you've got your percentages and your total square foot. If you go down, you've got the various different suite types that you've got set up in the system, and down at the bottom you can see you've got the total percentage, St Eleanor's, oh sorry, the internal office vacancy. You can see that because you can see that as Office 600, which we set up earlier, I put down as an internal office, and you can see that that is vacant at the moment. And you can see that at the bottom, St Eleanor's, that just basically sums up the whole site for you. So this shows you, this breaks everything down now against your occupied and your vacant workstations by the suite type. Okay, so and hopefully you'll find that one quite useful, especially if you do have various different suite types within your building. It's a very handy report for you to run. Okay, hopefully you found that one useful. So the last occupancy report which you may find useful is the contracted revenue and forecast report. So this report is, so it's under reports. Again, it's under occupancy reports, and then contracted revenue and forecast report. Now this report isn't going to be useful to everybody. It's only those users that actually have sort of our customer edition, which is the prospect dashboard and the pending orders. So, you know, receiving the leads from the brokers and then using the opportunity side of things. So this report is only going to be useful to those users, but I'll show everybody anyway. So if we preview the report for St Eleanor's as of October, you can see that this report is similar in some respects to the occupancy forecast report. You've got your room name and number, so the suite name. You've got your square footage, your workstations, your square foot per workstation, so that's going to be the workstations into the square foot of each unit. The list price, which is set up against the unit. The client name. You've got vacant since, so you can tell how long a room's been vacant for. So you've got, for example, office 4th floor has been vacant since 2008, which would be good. License start and end date. So again, this is where those license start and end dates are crucial in your occupancy reporting, and then your average monthly income. Forecast it again for 12 months, so you can see it goes right through to September 2012. And then down along here on the right-hand side, you've got some more columns. So committed income is the total of your income here. So for example, this client is the committed income is October, November, and December totaled. Client type, they're set as a residential, external, internal, virtual, or whatever, and that will appear. Your rate per workstation, and then your discount percentage from the list price will appear down there. So you can see this will show for every unit. So if we scroll down here, and then down the bottom, you can see the summarised totals of what is contracted for your building. Okay, so if we go down another page, what you can see here, this is where this report is different to the occupancy forecast report. This, as you can see, it actually shows your opportunities or your under offer or pending orders, as it were. So any sales opportunities that you've got showing that you have actually moved into your, that actually you think they're going to be moving into your building, these are actually put into your forecast report, so you can see what you think is actually going to be contracted, so your sales pipeline, as it were. So again, exactly the same field as the existing clients, but this one shows you your potential clients. So this report is really handy to run if you do have customer edition and you do use, you know, so you can see what's in the pipeline and what you are hopefully going to be contracted for. Okay, and again, if you scroll down the pages, it will some month-end totals, and your monthly average totals will appear there as well. So do you think that, raise your hand if you think that report will be helpful, the contracted revenue and forecast report? You didn't, oh, no one thinks that report will be useful. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions on anything that we've covered? Raise your hand if you have a question, or type a question for me. No questions at all. Well, that was really, really it on how to actually manage your occupancy within CentreCharge 5. So just to recap, what the crucial things that you need to do in order to get your occupancy showing correctly within the system is to make sure that you do have your square foot and your workstations, and if you want to report by suite type, you do need to make sure that they're populated within the suites and rooms. You need to make sure that your client orders all have a license agreement start and end date. And to check that, you can run the active consolidated rent and contract service report under the rent and contract service reports section. That will show you all clients that do or don't have a license agreement start and end date, or if they do have one, if it's correct or not. And then once you run that report and you do need to make any amendments, you need to go into your rent orders, click on the open up your rent items, then click on order details and populate the license agreement start and end dates through there. And then you've got some reports to run to help to show your occupancy. So it'll be your occupancy forecast report, your summary occupancy schedule, your occupancy rent roll by workstations, and then your contracted revenue and forecast report. So that was, like I say, that was it on how to manage your occupancy within CentreCharge 5. This has actually been videoed, so this webinar will actually be available for you to watch again, or your colleagues to watch on our YouTube site. So if there's no more questions, then thank you for attending this webinar, and I hope you found it very useful. If you do think of any questions in the future regarding this, please email them to support@rjmetis.com.